So did the Beatles invent the second and fourth position sounds on a Strat? Short answer, maybe. Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is all about the Beatles. You know I'm a huge Beatles fan, and you know I'm a huge Stratocaster fan. So the two and two, go hand in hand together with what I'm gonna like. So, a little backstory to this first. The Beatles always wanted Strats. They didn't get them. I guess they weren't available to them over there, even though other groups were using them. But their management finally ordered two of them in 1965. And they got two, I think they were Sonic Blue. They got two Fender Strats. John got one, George got one. And they never ever played them on stage. You can never see them on stage. There are a couple pictures of John Lennon using his Sonic Blue Strat during a sound check one time. And then there's other pictures that you can find. I'll try to put some up here. There's other pictures of them using them like in the studio and everything. They used them on Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper. And that's basically it. And they were 1961. They were either Daphne Blue or Sonic Blue. I'm bad with Strat colors. I'm bad with Daphne versus Sonic. So they got them in 1965, right after the Help album came out, and they were just getting ready to record Rubber Soul. So you can hear on most of Rubber Soul, George is using his Strat. He just instantly fell in love with Stratocasters, and probably the most defiant sound on a Strat is that second position. Okay, so like that. That's classic. It's got that that out of phase between the bridge and the middle pickup. Now I had to turn up the tone on my amp quite a bit because this is a humbucker, so you kind of lose that. It becomes a little fatter. So that's classic for like Sweet Home Alabama. So what I'm getting at with this video is, before the Beatles, I can't really think myself of an instance where somebody used the second position or fourth position on a Strat. Now, I could be wrong, very possible that I could be wrong, and a buddy of mine who I used to work with, who was alive back then, he was alive in those days, so he kind of would know better than anybody else that, I might ask about it. He claims that the Beatles were the first to do it. Back then they didn't have a 5 selector switch like I do now. So it was really kind of like pioneering, if that's a word, that George kind of figured out to balance the pickup between the first position and the middle, which at the time was the second position. So he created that second position sound. And the first instance that I know of that I can really hear it and I can tell that he is doing that is the guitar solo for Nowhere Man. Actually, the whole song he does it. But it's a double-tracked solo, and it just sounds fantastic. It's like the best second position Strat tone you've ever heard, and it's that classic, It's just an amazing guitar solo, and it kind of sounds like it has a chorus effect on it when you listen to the actual album version of it, but it actually doesn't. They actually double-tracked it, so it kind of gives that chorus effect to it. But actually, John and George both played the guitar solo on Nowhere Man. So did the Beatles invent the second position on a Strat? It's hard to say. There is one other song that I noticed might possibly have been balanced between, and it was way earlier. It was like 1958. Richie Valens, who is another hero of mine, La Bamba. Okay, when you go back and listen to La Bamba, it kind of sounds like maybe he balanced it as well. If not, he was definitely on the middle pickup, which would have been the second at the time. Okay, but either way, that's also another great song with great Strat tone in it. So fast forward a few years, after, let's see, Rubber Soul came out in 65. So then in 66, the Beatles, it was their first year where they only put out one album, and that was Revolver, which is considered one of the greatest albums of all time. I like it quite a bit, but I like a bunch of their really early stuff. Like, that's my favorite kind of stuff. But nonetheless, on Revolver, George used his Strat a ton. So they were just getting done with Rubber Soul, where he used it pretty much the whole album, except for one song. I think he used a Rickenbacker 12 string on one song. So the next year when they did Revolver, he used his Strat quite a bit on that album as well. And that's the first time that we kind of hear the fourth position. So he'd be balancing it between the middle pickup and the neck pickup, so creating that out of phase sound, which eventually became really popular for Jimi Hendrix to use. Jimi Hendrix, a lot of people think that he used the neck pickup on like Little Wing and All Along the Watchtower, but he was actually using what would be the fourth position now. And nobody's really sure if Jimmy balanced it or if he had it wired to have these two pickups together. Okay? So the song on Revolver that kind of led the way for the fourth position Strat tone is a song called I Want to Tell You. And it's not really that popular of a song. And that's coming from somebody who loves the Beatles and pretty much knows almost every song they ever did. So let's kind of take a look at that riff. It goes like this. Okay, so this song was written by George Harrison, and he was the lead singer on it. And you really can only hear that fourth position Strat tone for about 5 to 10 seconds in the very opening. The rest of it kind of blends in with everything, but it's really prominent in the first 5 to 10 seconds. And the first time I heard it, I was like, wow, that is some great Strat tone there. So it just sounded amazing, and I can't think of an earlier song that used what would be the fourth position on a Strat now. Like I said, for the second position, possibly La Bamba by Ritchie Valens. But as far as the fourth position goes, I Want to Tell You by the Beatles is probably the earliest that I can at least think of. So if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments down below. And, leave a comment what you think of the Strat tones and everything that the Beatles were getting. Maybe we got some other Beatles buffs out there that know more about this stuff than I do. Sure there are. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, please be sure to give it a like, a share, and a subscribe. And until next time, guys, we'll see ya. Stay rockin'.